उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवतिर्नैष्टिकी ओमाज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखम करोति वाचालं पंगम लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं। Okay, so the 28th chapter is essentially the meditation of a devotee yogi. So this is Astanga Yoga, and the object of meditation of the practitioner of Astanga Yoga in this case is the personal form of the personality of Godhead, specifically the four-armed form of the Lord found in Vaikuntha. So in the earlier verses, we had seen Lord Kapila describe how the yogi should meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord, the auspicious signs over there, on the calf of the Lord that is being massaged by his eternal consort, Lakshmi Devi. And in this way, he is gradually moving up from the lotus feet to the face of the Lord. So we'll do verse 24. Uru Suparna Bhujayor Adhi Somamana Adi Shobhamana Ojonidhi Ojonidhi Yatsika Kusuma Babaso Vyalam Vipitavar Vasasi Vartama Kanchi Kala Pariyam Binitam Bimbam. Next, the yogi should fix his mind in meditation on the personality of Godhead's thighs, the storehouse of all energy. The Lord's thighs are whitish blue, like the luster of the linseed flower, and appear more graceful when the Lord is carried on the shoulders of Garuda. Also, the yogi should contemplate his rounded hips, which are encircled by a girdle that rests on the exquisite yellow silk cloth that extends down to his ankles. The previous two verses, or three verses rather, two verses were describing the lotus feet, one verse was describing the calves. Now this verse describes the thighs and the hips. And specifically, this is the form of the Lord seated on Garuda. So Garuda is described as Suparna, as one who has the most auspicious wings, with the Lord standing on his shoulders. And the thighs are whitish blue, like flax, the flowers of a flax flower, and covered with a dhoti of exquisite silk that is yellowish in color. So even in the humans, the thighs are described as the strongest part of the body. Actually, the muscle of the thigh, that is the strongest muscle in the body in humans, and the reason is that so it is so in the Lord also. They say the thighs are the strongest part, and the Lord's thighs are especially strong, the reservoir of all energy. So Srila Prabhupada again, and we'll see that in almost all the verses, he connects the meditation of the yogi with the darshan of the deity form of the Lord. So whatever that the yogi is meditating on, the devotee can actually go to the temple and get darshan. So Prabhupada says that this is exactly represented in the Archa Vigraha, in the statues in the temples. The lower part of the body of the statue is covered with yellow silk. That is Vaikuntha dress, or the dress that the Lord wears in the spiritual sky. The cloth extends down to the Lord's ankles. And then Prabhupada says that because the Lord's form is most suitable to be meditated on, there is no need for him to meditate on something imaginary or something that is impersonal. Okay. Verse 25. Nabhihridam bhuvan kosha guhodastam yatratmayoni dishana khila lokha padmam vyutam hari mani vrishasthanyoramushaya dhyaye dvayam vishad harmayuka gauram. The yogi should then meditate on his moon-like navel in the center of his abdomen. From his navel, which is the foundation of the entire universe, sprang the lotus stem containing all different planetary systems. The lotus is the residence of Brahma, the first created being. In the same way, the yogi should concentrate his mind on the Lord's nipples, which resemble a pair of most exquisite emeralds and which appear whitish because of the rays of the milk white pearl necklaces adorning his chest. So in a material world, a navel represents the connection of the child with the mother in the womb. And since the Lord is Aja, he has no birth, one can understand that the navel is an adornment. So it is there as a decoration. And it is also described that it is the foundation of the entire material universe. So just like a child is connected to the mother by the umbilical cord, Brahma and the entire material creation is connected to the navel of the Lord by the stem of the lotus flower. Lord Shiva, he glorifies the Lord's abdomen in this we'll read in the next canto in the Rudra Gita. And he says in 4:24-50 that the Lord's abdomen is beautiful due to the three ripples in the flesh. Being so round, his abdomen resembles the leaf of a banyan tree. And when he exhales and inhales, the movements of the ripples appear very, very beautiful. The coils within the navel of the Lord are so deep that it appears that the entire universe sprouted off it, and yet again wishes to go back. So Srila Prabhupada, when he would instruct the artists in the painting of Krishna, so one of the instructions that he always gave was that one should make Krishna's body as well proportioned, firm, well-rounded, but never muscular. So Krishna is never shown as having abs or biceps or triceps or quadriceps. He's shown as strong and firm, but never muscular. And we can see that this is the description that Srila Prabhupada is basing his instructions on. So in addition to that, Lord Kapila says that one should meditate on the Shrivatsa mark. So which is just above the right part of the chest, actually just a little bit above the right nipple. And it's glowing white because of the effulgent white pearls that the Lord is wearing around his neck. And Prabhupada says that everything around the Lord is spiritual, including the ornaments. Therefore, the yogi should also meditate on these ornaments because they are not material objects. These are exalted devotees who have taken that service. Okay, next verse. Vakshodivasaṁ rishabhasya mahavibhute pumsham manonayan nivritam madhadanam kantham cha kaustab maneradhibhushanartham kuryan manasya khilalokanamaskritasya. The yogi should then meditate on the chest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the abode of Goddess Mahalakshmi. The Lord's chest is the source of all transcendental pleasure for the mind and full satisfaction for the eyes. The yogi should then imprint on his mind the neck of the Personality of Godhead, who is adored by the entire universe. The neck of the Lord serves to enhance the beauty of the Kaustubh gem, which hangs on his chest. So, moving up, the meditation of the yogi is now on the chest of the Lord, which is described in the first canto, chapter 11, as Shriyo Nivaso Yasyoraha, the abode of Shri, the abode of Lakshmi Devi. And the arms are so this is 111.26, where it is said that the Lord's chest is the abode of the goddess of fortune. His face is the drinking vessel for eyes which hanker after all that is beautiful. His arms are the resting place for the administrative demigods, and his lotus feet are the refuge of pure devotees who never talk or sing of any subjects except his lordship. The Kaustubh jewel is considered very beautiful, but the beauty of the Lord, that it is the beauty of the Lord that actually enhances the beauty of the Kaustubh jewel. So Uddhav makes the same point in the second chapter of this canto, that Parampadam Bhushan Bhushanganam, that the Lord's transcendental body is the ornament of all ornaments. It's not that the ornaments are beautifying the Lord, but the ornaments appear to be beautiful because they are adorning the Lord's body. Prabhupada says that in the Upanishads, it is said that the various energies of the Lord are working to create, destroy, and maintain. These inconceivable varieties of energies are stored in the bosom of the Lord. The bosom is chest. As people generally say, God is all powerful. That prowess is represented by Mahalakshmi, the reservoir of all energies, who is situated on the bosom of the transcendental form of the Lord. The yogi, who can meditate perfectly on the spot, on the transcendental form of the Lord, can derive many material powers, which comprise the 8 perfection of the yoga system. So this is actually what Prabhupada is explaining, is the science of the siddhis. That how do the yogis get the siddhis? That they get it because of their connection with the Lord. That when they meditate on the chest, which is the source of so much power, then by that connection, they also get power. Similarly, it is mentioned when the yogis meditate on the Paramatma within the atoms, then they get the siddhi of being smaller than the smallest. And when they meditate on the universal form of the Lord, then they get the siddhi of being the largest of the large. So similarly, by meditating on different forms and aspects of the Lord, the yogis, they get the siddhis because of the connection with the Lord. And Prabhupada, once again, in the purport, he equates deity worship to the meditation of the yogi. He says that temple worship is meant for people who are not so advanced that they can meditate on the form of the Lord. There is no difference between constantly visiting the temple and directly seeing the transcendental form of the Lord. They are of equal value. So even the Prabhupada says that going to the temple and seeing the form of the Lord is meant for those who are not that advanced. But then right after that, he says that there is no difference. So that's the prowess of bhakti. That it takes those who may not be fully qualified, but gives them the result of that of a person who actually has reached the stage after a lot of endeavor and effort. For a yogi to reach the stage of dhyan, many lifetimes, lot of arduous effort. But the devotee, all he needs to do is go to the temple and with faith look at the deity. Next verse. Bahumscha mandar gire parivartanena nirnekta bahuvalyan adilokapalan sanchintaye dasha sataramashyateja shankham chatatka sarorurajahamsam. The yogi should further meditate upon the Lord's forearms, which are the source of all the powers of the demigods who control the various functions of material nature. Then the yogi should concentrate on the polished ornaments which were burnished by Mount Mandara as it revolved. He should also duly contemplate the Lord's discus, the Sudarshan Chakra, which contains 1,000 spokes and a dazzling luster, as well as the conch, which looks like a swan in his lotus-like palm. So 4 things are mentioned as objects of meditation: Chaturbhuja, the Lord's forearms, the ornaments, the Sudarshan Chakra, and the conch. So it's mentioned here that when the Lord assumed the form of Kurma during Sagar Manthan, then the Mount Mandara was revolving on his back. And at that time, the Lord was pleased as Kurma Avatar because it was relieving the itch on his back and it was also polishing the jewels on his body. So we know that the Mount Mandara is really big. It was so big that all these powerful demons and demigods together were unable to pick it up. But for the Lord, is simply a polishing stone. Then the conch is very similar mention of the conch is in the first canto, 11th chapter, when the Lord enters into Dwarka. And there it is mentioned that the white and fat bowl conch shell being gripped by the hand of the Lord and surrounded by him appeared to be reddened by the touch of his transcendental lips. It seemed that a white swan was playing with the stems of the red lotus flower. Similar description of the conch. In the 6th canto, 8th chapter, Narayan Kavach, there are wonderful praise to the Sudarshan Chakra. So even though the Sudarshan Chakra is a weapon of destruction, for the devotees it's a weapon of protection. So in Narayan Kavach, one prays to the Sudarshan Chakra. Sudarshan Chakra is in a way the destructive element of time. The 1,000 spokes are basically representatives of time, and as it is revolving, it is taking away the life of everyone except the devotees. For the devotees, the Sudarshan Chakra is that of protection. So when the Sudarshan Chakra was following Durvasha Rishi, and then he finally came to Maharaj Amrish for shelter, then the Sudarshan Chakra after him to kill him. And Maharaj Amrish at that time, he offers wonderful praise to Sudarshan Chakra, glorifying and also for protection. So then the 9th canto. Srila Prabhupada says that all departments and law and order emanate from the arms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the mention that the administrative demigods, they are appearing from the arms of the demigods. Later, Prabhupada said the yogi is advised to meditate upon each of the spokes of the Sudarshan Chakra. He should meditate upon each and every one of the component parts of the transcendental form of the Lord. Okay, verse 28. Kamadakim bhagavattayetam smareta digdamarati bhatashonit kardamena malam madhuvrat varut giropagustam chaitasya tattvam amalam manimasya kanthe. The yogi should meditate upon his club, which is named Kaumadaki and is very dear to him. This club smashes the demons who are always inimical soldiers and is smeared with their blood. One should also concentrate on the nice garland on the neck of the Lord, which is surrounded by bumblebees with their nice buzzing sound. And one should meditate upon the pearl necklace on the Lord's neck, which is considered to represent the pure living entities who are always engaged in his service. So, 3 objects of meditation are mentioned in this verse: the club, the garland, and the pearl necklace. So, the pearl necklace is mentioned as the Amala Bhaktas, Amala Jivas. So, Amal means those who are pure. There are 2 kinds of Jivas, the Amal and the Arati. So, the Amal are the pure and the Arati are the demoniac. And the difference, of course, is that the Amal, they desire to serve the Lord, and the Aratis are inimical to him. And the Kaumadaki base, the club, is tainted with the blood of the Aratis, while the wonderful garland of the Lord is surrounded by the buzzing bees. So one can understand from this that the Lord keeps his pure devotees very close to him, very close to his heart. So Vishwanath Chakravarti, in this commentary on this verse, he also says that that the pearls that are mentioned over here refers to the Kastuba. And then he goes on to say that the Kastuba is the tattva of the Jiva Shakti. And he quotes from Vishnu Puran 66.1, the Supreme Lord distributes the form of the Kastuba jewel uncontaminated and pure as the Atma in the universe. So thus he concludes the Kastub jewel represents the unlimited jivas in the universe. Srila Prabhupada notes that the Lord, he holds both the club and the pearl necklace close to him. Both the devotees and the demons are dear to him. The only difference is that he responds to them based on the way they approach. Prabhupada says that the club of the Lord is very dear to him because he uses this instrument to smash the bodies of the demons and mix the blood. As mud is kneaded with water and earth, so the earthly bodies of the enemies of the Lord or the atheists are smashed by the club of the Lord, which becomes muddied with the blood of such demons. So Prabhupada, of course, here is also indicating that when the Lord is killing, he's not killing the jivas, just the earthly bodies. Of course, the jiva cannot be killed, he's eternal. But Prabhupada is emphasizing over here that the killing over here is that of the earthly body of the those who are inimical to the Lord. Verse 29. Bhrityanukampe dhiye grihitamurte sanchintayed bhagavato vadanarvindam yad vishpuran makar kundalvalgitena vidyotitamal kapoludaranasam. The yogi should then meditate on the lotus-like countenance of the Lord, who presents his different forms in this world out of compassion for the anxious devotees. His nose is prominent, and his crystal clear cheeks are illuminated by the oscillation of his glittering, alligator-shaped earrings. So we can see that the meditation is not just on the form, but also now it has moved to the bhav. So anukampita, that the Lord is full of compassion. So the yogi should not only meditate on the limbs and the weapons and the ornaments, but also on this mood of compassion of the Lord. So we are seeing a transition from roop to guna. The form is now becoming the basis of the qualities, and the qualities will then become the basis of the pastimes. So what does the Lord do out of compassion? Grihita murte. So he accepts many forms. So what is this talking about? It's talking about the various incarnations of the Lord and the pastimes related to it. So from the form comes the anukampita dhiya, and from anukampita dhiya comes the grihita murti. Or it could be said that he accepts forms along with his compassion, which will live with him there. So either the form, the Lord out of compassion assumes the form, or the Lord along with his compassion assumes the form. This slight semantic difference. Both of them indicating that these forms, they embody the compassion. Why does the Lord descend? He descends out of compassion. The Prabhupada says that the Lord descends to the material world out of his deep compassion for his devotees. There are two reasons for the Lord to incarnate. When there is a discrepancy in the discharge of religious principles, and there is a prominence of irreligion. And then later on, Prabhupada says that his main purpose is to give solace to his devotees. He does not have to come himself to destroy the demons, for he has many agents. Even the external energy Maya has sufficient strength to kill them. But when he comes to show compassion to his devotee, he kills the non-devotees as a matter of course. It's a side kind of a thing. He comes really for the pleasure of his devotees. He does the leelas, and just in order to embellish the pastimes, he on the side he kills the non-devotees. Then there is a description of the earrings. So the earrings are makara. Makara means sharks shaped, and they're swaying. They're swaying because of the wind that is created by the chamar that is being waved by the attendants of the Lord. Or Vishwanath Chakravarti, he's waxing poetic on this. Or he says that the Lord is appreciating the clever answers given by his associates, and is shaking his head in appreciation. Or he said the Lord tilts his head to indicate the skillfulness of his devotees as they entertain him by dancing and singing with various musical instruments. So essentially, the swinging of the earrings is representing the relationship between the Lord and his devotees. Whether it is because of the blowing of the charmer, somebody rendering service to the Lord, or whether it is somebody amusing the Lord by clever answers, or somebody entertaining the Lord by singing, dancing. So these are all coming out of relationships. And his two eyes dancing with the reflection of the earrings on the mirror of his cheeks. So because his cheeks are so smooth, the two earrings appear to be four. The two makaras, they appear to be four. So where else do we see this kundalam? We see that in Damodarashtakam, Namamishwaram, Dasata Kundalam. So we see the description of the earrings over there also. Then the Lord's nose is described, that the Lord's nose is raised. Udar means that it is great and generous. So it is fine, and it is clearly defined, and it is generous. So the cause of the nose, or the nose from which generosity comes, is manifested in the Lord's abundance when he gives. So the Lord is so munificent that when one comes to ask him, then he gives a lot more than what the person is even imagining. Okay, Srila Prabhupada in the purport again makes the point that the object of the meditation should be as per the scriptures. The yogi should not imagine something, or the yogi should not meditate on the form. Lord Kapila in Sankhya Yoga is clearly indicating that one should meditate on the form of the Lord. And we can see how Lord Kapila is guiding the meditation from names to qualities, from form to qualities, and from qualities to relationships and pastimes. Verse 30. Yachniketam alibi parisevyamanam bhutya swaya kutil kuntal vrindajustam meenadvashrayam adiksipat abhonetram adikshapad abjanetram dhyayen manamyam atandritaulasabhru. The yogi then meditates upon the beautiful face of the Lord, which is adorned with curly hair and decorated by lotus-like eyes and dancing eyebrows. A lotus surrounded by swarming bees and a pair of swimming fish would be put to shame by its elegance. So now the yogi is meditating on the lotus face of the Lord, Sriniketam, the abode of the beauty, which rivals the lotus served by bees and accompanied by two fish. So this is a meditation on the face, the hair, and the eyes of the Lord. The face is compared to the lotus. The bees are the eyebrows, and the eyes are the fish. So by its beauty, the face of the Lord defeats any lotus. And the curly locks of hair are compared to a swarm of bees. Srila Prabhupada makes this very important point that meditation is not imagination. That the yogis rely on the vision of the devotees to fix their meditation on the form of the Lord. These are the most advanced yogis. So earlier we saw that neophyte yogis, they worship the Vishvarupa. And that is the Dharanashraya. That's the imaginary form of the Lord. Even there is guidance that is given. Like consider the rivers to be the veins of the Lord, consider the trees to be the hair, but it is an imaginary form, because the yogis can see the rivers and the trees and the mountains. They take what they have seen and they transpose it and create an imaginary form of the Lord. So it's not as per the imagination of the yogi. That's an important distinction. Even though it's an imaginary form, but it's not as per the imagination of the yogi. At an advanced stage, the yogi is now meditating on the actual form of the Lord. And Prabhupada reveals this, that this form of the Lord is actually revealed by the devotees. So the point is made that yoga is dependent on bhakti. If the devotees were not able to reveal the form of the Lord, then the yogis would not have anything to meditate on. Okay, I'll do one more verse and then stop for any discussion. Tasyavalokam adhikam kripayati ghora tapatrayo pashmanaya nistrasakshno snigdha smitanugitam vipul prasadam dhyaye kachiram vipul bhavanya guyam. The yogi should contemplate with full devotion the compassionate glances frequently cast by the Lord's eyes, for they soothe the most fearful threefold agonies of his devotees. His glances, accompanied by loving smiles, are full of abundant grace. So beginning from the lotus feet, Lord Kapila has guided the yogi all the way till the face and the hair of the Lord. Now He is asking the yogi to meditate on the relationship of the Lord with his devotees. So he is saying you meditate on the glance of the Lord. And what is the nature of the glance? Previously, we had seen the quality of compassion. Now we see the quality of protection. That it relieves the meditator of the three frightful miseries. So one should meditate on the Lord's glance. One should meditate on the Lord smiling affectionately. And one should meditate on the sweetness of the Lord that increases exponentially. So the Tapatraya is elevated by this affection, this smile of the Lord. So the fact that the compassion of the Lord is accompanied by his smile indicates that the Lord is joyfully giving his compassion. He is not giving it as a matter of duty. He's not even giving it out of pity. He's actually giving it happily. He's actually giving it joyfully. And the next verse will talk more about his smile. So Prabhupada says that the Lord bestows innumerable favors upon his devotees, and the greatest manifestation of his grace is his smiling face, which is full of compassion for his pure devotees. So we see this interesting mood that is developed over here. That one would think that being relieved from Tapatraya, the threefold material agonies, would be the compassion that the devotees are looking for. Prabhupada is saying not really. That disturbances might come, but really speaking, the real manifestation of the compassion of the Lord is his smiling face. The smiling face that is full of compassion. Okay, so let me pause here, see if you have any thoughts or comments. I think all of us can think of our deities as we were going through these verses. It is easy to see how Prabhupada is relating it to deity worship. One of the things that is also recommended is to just like the yogis, they meditate on the Lord beginning from the lotus feet. That's how we are also meditated to take darshan of the deities, that we begin from the lotus feet and then consider the lotus feet to be the tirtha, the place of residence of the devotees. Go to the calves, think of that as the place of Lakshmi Devi. Go to the thighs, where it's the source of all the power, then the hips and the abdomen and so on. So as we take the darshan of the deity, then we are also meditating on not only the beautiful form of the Lord, but the qualities of the Lord, his loving relationship with his devotees, and the pastimes of the Lord also.
Hare Krishna, just an observation. You're describing the Lord's earrings as shark-shaped in the Damodarastaka prayers. That's how it is described, Lasat Kundalam. But here I notice in text 29, it is, the Sanskrit is Makara Kundala. And even in the translation, it is described as glittering alligator-shaped earrings. So I'm just an observation that one place is described as shark-shaped, and here it is described as alligator-shaped.
That is true. I did not notice that, but thank you for pointing it out. I'm not sure if I don't think the alligators look like sharks, but maybe the Lord has many earrings.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, it's a clarification. What if when we meditate on the Lord's creation instead of his form?
Yes, that's one of the recommended forms of meditation, right? That when Krishna speaks in the 10th chapter of the Gita, he's talking about his creation, how you can see Krishna in the material world. It's generally considered to be more impersonal form, because the creation is essentially a manifestation of the Lord's energy. So you're meditating on the energy of the Lord. It is nevertheless a bona fide form of meditation.
Thank you.
Thank you. I also, or remind me if I didn't, Prem Kishore Prabhu, did I send you the document with the tables and a description of the collection of the verses on the lotus feet of the Lord?
Yes, Prabhu. I'm sharing you.
Okay, yeah, I did. Yeah, if you can share it with others.
I did share it, yeah.
You did already. Okay, wonderful. Okay.
Prabhu, just to confirm about, you said that you would send the link for the download of the, was it sent? I think I missed it somehow.
I'll send it again as a separate note, Prabhu.
Yeah, I think it was sent as part of the reminder, and probably.
I'll send it as a separate note. Even I realized it. I'll send it as a separate.
Yeah, I send it as separate. But it's, if you go to the website, bhayaridas.com, it's over there. But yeah, Prabhu, do send it as a separate. Okay, very good. Verse 32. Asam hare ravanat asar asam hare amanata kila lok tivra soka shusagar vishoshanam atyudaram samohanay rachitam nijamayasya Bhrumandalam muni krite makardhvajasya. A yogi should similarly meditate on the most benevolent smile of the Lord, of Lord Sri Hari. A smile which for all those who bow to him dries away the ocean of tears caused by intense grief. The yogi should also meditate on the Lord's arched eyebrows, which are manifested by his internal potency in order to charm the sex god for the good of the sages. So the smile of the Lord, as we had mentioned earlier, that the smile is full of love. The compassion is accompanied with a smile, indicating that all this the Lord is happily giving to his devotees. The darshan of his form, the vision of his loving relationship, the Lord is generously, he is giving to his devotees with happiness. And the fortunate yogi who is meditating upon it, he is so enamored by the smile and the mood of the Lord that Lord Kapila says that it dries the oceans of tears caused by the separation with the Lord. So Vishwanath Chakravarti says that the generous smile lifts the devotees from the ocean of grief and then submerges them into another ocean. But this is an ocean of bliss. Or he says one can understand that the smile, it dries the ocean of tears caused by material suffering and increases the ocean of bliss in transcendence. So the next thing to meditate is the eyebrows. And it is said that the eyebrows of the Lord are so beautiful that they bewilder even Cupid. So why should the eyebrows bewilder Kamadev? So it is mentioned that Kamadev, he agitates the sages who are performing austerities. And the eyebrows are like bow and arrow by which the Lord chastises Cupid. So in a way to protect his devotees, the eyebrows of the Lord are like the bows from which the arrows shoot and they chastise Kamadev. So that is why it is said that the Lord's devotees are protected from lust, because the eyebrows of the Lord are bewildering Cupid. Or it could be understood that the eyebrows of the Lord are so beautiful that Cupid himself gets bewildered. Right? Like at least in Potomac, our deity's name is Madan Mohan. So Madan is another name for Cupid. Madan Mohan is Krishna, who bewilders Cupid. So the term Samohanaya Nij Mayayasya Bruhu Mandalam. So what does this refer to? So Samohanaya is the bewilderment in the Bhrumandalam, in the material world. And what is the source of this bewilderment? Nijamayayasya, the Lord's own personal energy, Mayayasya. So the eyebrows of the Lord are the source of the lust, which is the basis of the material world. And the same eyebrows are the protection of the devotees from Nijamayayasya. So the eyebrows that are bewildering Cupid, that are bewildering the materially conditioned souls, the same eyebrows are protecting the Lord. Here Prabhupada says that the sex god is Makaradhwaja. He's called Makardhwaj because he rides on a crocodile. The Vahan of Kamadev is Makara, is a crocodile. Prabhupada says the charming brows of the Supreme Personality of Godhead protect the sages and devotees from being charmed by material lust and sex attraction. Yamunacharya, great Acharya, said that ever since he had seen the charming pastimes of the Lord, the charms of sex life had become abominable for him. And the mere thought of sex enjoyment would cause him to spit and turn his face. Thus, if anyone wants to be aloof from sex attraction, he must see the charming smile and fascinating eyebrows of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, next verse, 33. Dhyanayam parahistam bahuladharsh adharostha baha sarunyata tanudveja kunda pankti Dhyayet swadeh kore avasitasya Vishno bhaktya dhyarpita manana pratak didirkshe. With devotion, steeped in love and affection, the devotee should meditate within the core of his heart upon the laughter of Lord Vishnu. The laughter of Vishnu is so captivating that it can be easily meditated upon. When the Supreme Lord is laughing, one can see his small teeth, which resemble jasmine buds, rendered rosy by the splendor of his lips. Once devoting his mind to this, the yogi should no longer desire to see anything else. So the difference between a smile and a laugh is that when one is laughing, then one's teeth are exposed. So when the Lord is laughing, then his teeth can be seen, and the teeth are described as like jasmine buds that are rendered rosy by the splendor of his lips. Prabhupada says the exceptional beauty of the laughter of Lord Vishnu is that when he smiles, his small teeth, which resemble the buds of jasmine flowers, at once become reddish, reflecting his rosy lips. If the yogi is able to place the beautiful face of the Lord in the core of his heart, he will be completely satisfied. So again, an important point to note is that the object of meditation is not something static. The yogi who's meditating on the form of the Lord is not meditating on the form of the Lord, but is meditating on the Lord who has a form. Which is why Lord Kapila is taking him beyond just the description of the angas and the ornaments and the weapons, but he's talking about the glances of the Lord, talking about the compassion, the smile, the laugh, the twinkling of his eyes, the movement of the earrings. So what does all this indicate? It indicates dynamism. That it's not that there is just the Lord sitting alone, but he's surrounded by his devotees. He's tilting his head and smiling because somebody has said something witty. Or he's appreciating the dance performance. The yogi is meditating on devotees, pleasing the Lord by dancing. Or the yogi meditates on the compassion of the Lord that relieves the three kinds of miseries. So in the purport to this, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he talks about a small pastime of the laughing of Krishna. That once Radha and Krishna met, and then at that time, as they were sitting together, a black bumblebee came. And Radharani was, initially she tried to shoo it away, but the bumblebee was very persistent. It kept as if it was going to bite her. And then Srimati Radharani became alarmed, and she said, she turned to Krishna and said, "Take away this bumblebee." And then seeing this, Krishna heartily laughed. And while laughing, he started encouraging the bee that you should enjoy Radhika while you have this opportunity. So this tasting of the bliss, or the bewilderment through the tasting of the bliss, is the highest dhyana. This is because of its sweetness. So Smaran, which is the third anga, Shravana Kirtan Smaran, it consists of meditation on the name, form, qualities and pastimes of the Lord. And as we can see, that Astang Yoga has been presented by Lord Kapila in the context of Bhakti Smaran. So other than the fact that by the antecedents we know that Lord Kapila is describing the meditation of an Astang Yogi, but this is actually non-different from the meditation of a devotee also. In the purport to this, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he writes about the inferior nature of impersonal bhakti. So he quotes from 219, where Sukadev Goswami, he speaks to Parikshit Maharaj that I was situated perfectly in the transcendence, yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord. So the person who had already acquired impersonal liberation became attracted to something higher. Then he quotes from Padyavali. So Padyavali is basically a collection of verses by various great personalities. So this one is by Yadavendra Puri, which says that we have now plunged into the great nectar ocean of the transcendental youthful pastimes of Maharaj Nanda's son Krishna. Of what use to us is the salt water of impersonal liberation. Then again in Padyavali, later on it is said that, O Lord, I pray that I may take birth again and again in a place where my ears may drink the sweet music of your flute. What is the use of talking to me about impersonal liberation? This is actually spoken by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Then another verse in Padyavali is, some are inclined to carry the load of speculative knowledge, and others are inclined to carry the loads of fruitive work. We, however, are inclined to carry on our heads the slippers that decorate the lotus feet of Lord Hari's servants. Then another verse by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in Padyavali. We are not poets, we are not logicians, we are not philosophers who have crossed to the farther shore of Vedanta. We are not eloquent debaters. We are the servants of a rascal cowherd boy. So this is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was actually a great logician and a philosopher and a Vedantist, an eloquent debater, but he says, I'm not all of that. All I am is the servant of a rascal cowherd boy. Then this verse is spoken by Bilmangala Thakur in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Commuters on the path of impersonal liberation worshipped us as we were situated comfortably on the throat of one who is called Atmaram, a person who takes delight only in the self. Yet, some rascal lover of the gopis forcibly turned us into his maidservants. Okay, nice verses talking about, maybe what I'll do is, I'll send these verses over. I didn't read the Sanskrit. The Sanskrit is also very nice. I'll send these verses over to Prem Kishore Prabhu. Something nice to read and meditate on. Okay, verse 34. Evam harau bhagvate pratilabdha bhavo bhaktya dravadritya utpulaka pramadda Autkantya bapas Autkantya bashpa Kalaya muhurardyamanas Tacha pichit vadisham Sanakher viyunkte. By following this course, the yogi gradually develops pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari. in the course of his progress in devotional service, the hairs on his body stand erect through excessive joy and is constantly bathed in a stream of tears occasioned by intense love. Gradually, even the mind, which he used as a means to attract the Lord, as one attracts a fish to a hook, withdraws from material activity. So in 5 verses, and these are the concluding verses, Lord Kapila, he describes the end result of this process of meditation, which is the liberation of the yogi and the state of mind of the yogi. So this particular verse is talking about the manifestation of love in a yogi. So the Astanga yogi, after a very, very long practice, he destroys his material mind. However, since he does not know the presence of a spiritual mind, he is unable to continue any forward. And because of his prolonged association with the Paramatma, he is unable to detach from the Paramatma. So his mind that he used as a hook to attract the Lord, just as a fish is impaled by the fisherman's hook, Chittabodhisam, that hook that was used to attract the fish is now intimately associated with the fish. So the next step is now that the yogi shaner viyunukte, that is gradually giving up that association. Which is that association? The association of his mind with the Paramatma. And because of this strong attachment of the yogi with the Paramatma, the yogi does not get the highest form of liberation. Essentially, what this verse is saying that Astanga Yoga is not an end in itself, but it is a means to an end. It is used to control the mind, which will purify the senses. And then the yogi uses this purified senses to render personal service to the Lord. However, a yogi who does not engage in the personal service of the Lord will have to forcibly engage his mind. Lord Kapila says, Nirbija Yoga. And this is different from, well, not Lord Kapila, this is Vishwanath Chakravarti saying that this is Nirbija Yoga. However, a fortunate yogi who, because of the association or mercy of devotees, is now engaged in the loving service of the Lord, he is automatically, constantly thinking of the Lord. That is Sabij Yoga. So it's not that the Astanga yogi does not get liberation. It is a very exalted stage. But because of the long association with the Paramatma, that's the kind of liberation that the yogi gets. The analogy of the fish and the hook is given, that the yogi uses his mind, essentially the process of meditation, to hook the Lord, just like the fisherman uses the hook to catch a fish. But then the hook is deeply embedded in the fish. So the yogi is strongly attached to the Paramatma because millions of lifetimes he has spent meditating on the Paramatma. Difficult for him to disengage and now render service to the personality of Godhead. So he gets a liberation that is commensurate to his attraction to the Paramatma. But it is by no means the only destination of the yogi. Because if a yogi has been able to follow the process to purify the mind, control the senses, develop attachment to the Lord, he can also now start engaging in the personal service of the Lord. Sabij Yoga. So Srila Prabhupada writes that here it is clearly mentioned that meditation, which is an action of the mind, is not the perfect stage of samadhi or absorption. In the beginning, the mind is employed in attracting the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but in the higher stages, there is no question of using the mind. A devotee becomes accustomed to serving the Lord by purification of his senses. In other words, the yoga principles of meditations are required as long as one is not situated in pure devotional service. The mind is used to purify the senses, and when the senses are purified by meditation, there is no need to sit in a particular place and try to meditate upon the form of the Lord. One becomes so habituated that he automatically engages in the personal service of the Lord. When the mind forcibly is engaged upon the form of the Lord, this is called Nirbij Yoga or lifeless yoga. For the yogi does not automatically engage in the personal service of the Lord. But when he is thinking of the Lord, that is called Sabij Yoga or living yoga. One has to be promoted to the platform of living yoga. Okay, so before giving the destination of the yogi, the fork in the path is being described. Okay, so we'll do the next verse. Muktashrayam yari nirvishayan viraktam nirvanam rachati manasah yatarchi atmanamatra purusho avyavadhanamekam anvikshate pratinvrita guna pravaha. When the mind is thus completely freed from all material contamination and detached from material objects, it is just like the flame of a lamp. At that time, the mind is actually dovetailed with that of the Supreme Lord and is experienced as one with Him because it is freed from the interactive flow of material qualities. So remember, these set of verses are describing the state of liberation and the state of mind of a yogi. So the previous verse 34 described the development of the love of the Lord, and here we see that there is freedom from material contamination, spiritual attachment, and no attachment to the material conception. So the example of the lamp is given over here to explain the perfected mind of the yogi. So when the oil of a lamp finishes, the lamp extinguishes. Similarly, when the mind or the subtle body is without material attachment, then it is destroyed. So this is actually similar to the vision of the living entity at the time of pralaya, or the destruction of the gross and subtle body. So it's a bit of a philosophical point that is made over here, that if the destruction of the subtle body is the cause of the liberation of the yogi, then why does not the jiva get liberated at the time of the destruction of the universe, because we know that at that time, both the gross and the subtle body are destroyed when the jiva enters into the body of Mahavishnu. So the reason that is given over here is that at the time of Pralay, Ahankar is destroyed. The false ego, which is living in the subtle body, that is destroyed. Avidya is not destroyed. Avidya is not sitting in the subtle body. Avidya is sitting with the soul. So the soul still has material desires. Only thing that changes is that it loses the facility to fulfill them. And the difference is that in case of the yogi at this stage, not only is Ahankar destroyed, but Avidya is also destroyed. So he realizes the Atma without any covering. He realizes that he's not the body. And to say that the false ego is destroyed means that he's no longer identifying with the products of the false ego, like the gross and the subtle body. And to say that avidya is destroyed means that he has no longer any desire to associate with the material conception. So there's a difference between the two, right? That one is that food is not present in front of a person. He cannot eat because there is no food. And the second is that the person is not hungry. So the fact that the food is not present is incidental. So the yogi is at the stage where he has no desires anymore. The avidya is cured. Whereas at pralay, ahankar is destroyed, but avidya remains. So it is mentioned that it is wrongly considered that because the soul is trapped in the gross and subtle body, it is trapped in the material world. So it is not trapped in the material world because of the gross and subtle body. It's trapped in the material world because of its desires. The gross and the subtle body are there because of the desire of the jiva. And actually, a jiva in this state or in our state, sometimes we think that why doesn't Krishna just simply take us back to the spiritual world? But actually, if Krishna were to take us back to the spiritual world, destroy our gross and subtle body in a spirit form, a pure spiritual form, take us back to the spiritual world, we would actually be more miserable over there than we are here in this material world. Because we actually still have that avidya that is creating misery. So Vishwanath Chakravarti says that Lord Kapila is describing the mind of such a yogi, that mukta ashrayam. Mukta ashrayam means that it is situated in liberation. And in the previous verse, it was said, Shankahe Viyunukta, that by constant effort, the yogi is able to destroy the subtle body, the false ego is destroyed, and then the yogi is now mukta ashraya. So interestingly, both Prabhupada and Vishwanath Chakravarti, so this is obviously a very exalted stage, and both Vishwanath Chakravarti and Srila Prabhupada, they characterize this person as a foolish yogi. And because why is he foolish? He's foolish because he has spent so much time trying to destroy his mind. What he has not realized is that there was never a need for him to destroy the mind. All he had to do was to repurpose the mind. All he had to do was to dovetail the mind in the service of the Lord. So the yogi looked upon his mind and rightly understood the mind to be the cause of all the suffering. Mind here is kind of interchangeably used with subtle body. The senses, the mind, the intelligence, ahankar, they're generally referred to here as mind. So the yogi looks upon it and says, what is the cause of my suffering? Because my senses are always seeking out and suffering. My mind is causing me so much of trouble. My intelligence is constantly agitating me. Because of my false ego, I'm burning day and night. And then what is the solution? That these are the cause of my suffering. Let me destroy them. And that's where his conduct is considered to be foolish, because he never had to destroy them. All he had to do was to repurpose them, which is something that he will have to do anyway. Because once he destroys it, if he has to make further progress, then now he has to disengage the hook from the fish and use it to catch Krishna now. So now he has to do the same thing again, which the devotees are doing from the first day. They're not trying to destroy the mind or the senses or anything. All they're trying to do is what the yogi does in the final stages, which is repurposing the mind and the senses. The Prabhupada says that Yathachi, Arche means flame. When the lamp is broken or the oil is finished, we see the flame of the lamp goes on. But according to scientific understanding, the flame is not extinguished, it is conserved. This is conservation of energy. The Prabhupada uses analogy to show that when the mind stops functioning on the material platform, it starts acting on the spiritual platform. Later on, he says that in the material world, the activities of the mind are acceptance and rejections. As long as the mind is in material consciousness, it must be forcibly trained to accept meditation on the personality of Godhead. But when it is actually elevated to loving the Lord, the mind is automatically absorbed in thought of the Lord. In such a position, the yogi has no other thought than to serve the Lord. The dovetailing of the mind with the desires of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called nirvana, or making the mind one with the Supreme Lord. So Srila Prabhupada, after this I'll stop, Srila Prabhupada, he gives the example of various devotees who achieve this nirvana. He gives the example of Arjun, that by the end of Bhagavad Gita, Arjun was of the same mind as Krishna. And Prabhupada said, this is the oneness. Because what does Arjun say? That whatever you want, I will do. Your desire is my desire. Prabhupada says, this is the oneness. Arjun did not lose his individuality. Krishna did not lose his individuality, but both of them became singular in purpose. Arjun desired to fulfill the desires of Krishna, and Krishna wanted to fulfill the desires of Arjun. So that is the nirvana, or that is the oneness. Okay, so let me pause here. We have a few more verses, but I think they're important enough that we'll finish them on Wednesday, and then we will be able to start the next chapter, which is on pure devotional service. So we can pause here and see if there's any comments, discussions.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, just about the eyebrow, it is the shape of a bow. So when you put both together, and okay, because sarang, the word sarang is a bow, and the bow of Vishnu, and also the bow. Here they say that Krishna shoot when we say sidelong glance, Krishna shoot the arrow with his bow, with the gopis, and capture their heart. with his sidelong glance.
Yeah, yes. Thank you for bringing it up. I've read that too.
Yeah, I've read this somewhere, and it's funny. And then really, it's a shape. It's like a bow.
Yes. I think the same is also said of Srimati Radharani.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other thoughts?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
You're breaking up.
Somebody else. Hare Krishna. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Now I can.
The description of Paramatma, which is given by Narada Muni to Dhruva Maharaj to meditate upon, and the description that we see here given by Lord Kapil Dev about the Supreme Lord. So this is not the Paramatma, but it is Krishna, or how to understand this, because it appears that the Paramatma is description that Narada Muni gave Dhruva Maharaj is not same as what the description of Kapil Dev describing us about the Supreme Lord. Because at the end you are saying that the yogi has to unhook himself from the Paramatma attachment in order to meditate upon the Supreme Lord. I'm just a little confused. Is it different from Paramatma? How different it is?
The description here, Prabhupada says, is that of Lord Narayan in Vaikuntha. And actually, this description is the process of unhooking. Lord Kapila is not describing the meditation on Paramatma, but is describing the meditation on Lord Narayan. So the Paramatma description is there somewhere. The whole detailed process is not given, but the yogi does meditate on the Paramatma. But Lord Kapila over here is describing the more advanced stage. So that's why Prabhupada keeps making this point, that the deity of Lord Narayan can be meditated upon in the mind of the yogi or in the altar of the temple. Okay.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Firstly, I wanted to thank you, Prabhuji. Very beautiful class, Prabhuji. Initially, the description I was thinking of as you are describing, naturally thoughts go towards our deities. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. And also I thank for the final description that you have given about the reason why the living entity will not go back to Godhead at the end of at the time of Pralaya, even though gross and subtle bodies destroy. So the question itself does not arise, but the clarification, it helped me to realize, Prabhuji. And also, Prabhuji, like here one question that came to me is like, is it so is that the reason, like the devotees in this world, even though they still carry their body, but still because they removed the avidya factor from there, so they still continue the same body but still can become pure devotees like that, Prabhuji?
Definitely. For pure devotees, yes. So the point that is being made, which you're pointing out, is that it's not the material energy that contaminates the jiva. It's the mentality of the jiva that contaminates him. Because if matter was to contaminate the jiva, then it would upset the order, right? That is the lower form of energy. Jiva is the thas, that is Bharangi. But when the mentality of the jiva is clear, then the matter has no power over him, right? It actually never had any power over him. it was only the jiva who was allowing the matter to dominate. When that mentality has been cleared, then the same matter becomes spirit, right? Like when we offer chamar to the Lord, then the same chamar becomes, it may have been the tail of an animal, a material tail of an animal made out of the extension of the skin. But then when we use it to fan the Lord, it becomes spiritual, right? Because its purpose is linked to what it was meant to. So yes, I think I'm giving a slightly long answer, but I agree with your with the postulate that you're making.
Yes, Prabhu. And also it helped Prabhuji that how the subtle body are in fact helping us, even though we are in material world, that it is to enjoy, because with this kind of avidya we are carrying with the soul, we can't even go and enjoy in spiritual world. So that is a very good realization that touched me.
Yeah, and that's why when the souls are in Shushupti, it is actually Prabhupada says that it is actually an abominable situation for the jivas. So one may think that we are in the body of Mahavishnu and for billions and billions of years, but it's actually an abominable situation because the jiva is full of desires, but no way to fulfill those desires. No gross body, no subtle body. It's just basically held there in some kind of suspended animation. And as soon as the creation is let forth, as soon as the jiva gets the body, they can't wait to again start acting out all the desires that were pent up inside them. Okay.
One last question, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, like it was described that the Paramatma meditation is inferior to the meditation on the Supreme Lord. So here that Paramatma meditation, that description, that can be equivalent to Krute Jayato Vishnu, that kind of process mentioned in Krita Yoga, Prabhuji?
So my understanding is that the process of dhyan is a means to an end. It's difficult to basically like sweep it with a single color, that anybody who is meditating is only meditating on the Paramatma. It's just a means to an end. A person who is meditating could be meditating on the Virat Roop, right? And they could be meditating on Paramatma. They could be meditating on the personality of Godhead, could be meditating on Shunya or the impersonal Brahman. So all that is mentioned is that whatever goal the person wanted, they achieved through meditation.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Okay, so we'll end here. Thank you. Vanchakalpatarubhayascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada. Jai Gaur Premanand. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.